Hi everybody, this is Lara from Pure Elliott Wave with your daily update for Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP. They're all moving higher. I had expected one final low to the downside. They're all moving higher, XRP not so much, Bitcoin most spectacularly with push from volume, but we still have a series of lower highs and lower lows, the basic definition of a downward trend. We still need 3206.08 taken out in order for that basic trend that's down to be broken. This is not yet a higher high. I also, and this is an earlier, so higher risk but greater reward, this is an earlier confidence of a low in place, and I've changed my channel to red so that it's a little bit easier to see today. Here's a channel around this downward movement from this high to this high with a copy on this low. This trend line drawn on a semi-log scale, this trend line needs to be breached by upward movement. Now, if this is the start of a strong new bull run, that should happen in a few days. If that happens, then I will call for a low back down here. But while we have a series of lower highs and lower lows, we should assume the trend remains the same until proven otherwise. Caution, however, there is a little bit of technical evidence to indicate that this might be a low in place. There's a bullish reversal pattern in this hammer, and there's short-term bullish between price and a closing basis. There's short-term bullish divergence between price and RSI. I will expect that the trend remains the same until proven otherwise, and so look for more downward movement. Here's identified support 24,800. I'm looking at 19,500 most likely, but it has to break through 24,800 and 21,500 first to get there. Strong volume is pushing price higher today. That's very bullish, but you also see that in rallies within a bearish movement. It happened back here, it happened here. Now the range on this candlestick isn't nearly as good as the range on this candlestick, but it was a strong upward session following a bullish reversal pattern. This upward session had push from volume, and yet we saw continuing downward movement. So on its own, this increase in range and volume on its own isn't enough to definitively say that this low should be intact. We do still need a high above 3206.08 for a reasonable level of confidence in that view. Another piece of technical evidence that tells us a low could be in place, ADX has now reached extreme, and we've got that very weak bullish divergence between price and RSI. Price closed only $8.55 lower, but RSI was higher. It's very weak bullish divergence because the change in price is very minimal, but a little bit of technical evidence that a low could be in place. On balance, volume still has no new range, so no new signal. To be honest, if I'm wrong and we're not going to get lower lows, I would actually be very, very happy with that. My approach for these markets is to buy and hold. I do not trade these markets. The volatility is absolutely insane, and I've said it before and I have to repeat it. Trying to learn to trade in a market this volatile will see you wipe out multiple accounts. My analysis here is my analysis primarily for my own purposes, but to help you day to day as well. I strongly recommend, if you're learning to trade, do not learn on markets this volatile. Step back and learn on something less volatile like the euro dollar. My analysis is not investing or trading advice. This is simply analysis. It is educational. It is not to be taken as trading or investing advice. Ethereum's moving higher today, but I still will assume the trend remains the same for this one as well until proven otherwise. And let's look for a final low to find support at the lower edge of the base channel. Daily chart, this upward movement could now be part of a zigzag or a double zigzag from sub-minuet wave 4 for the final fifth wave down. The second wave correction could be over here. We could label this as a complete impulse. It looks better as an incomplete impulse, but it could be over here. Now again, there's pretty much the same for all of these markets. It's possible the low is intact here, but we don't yet have enough evidence to draw that conclusion. We should assume that this trend remains the same until proven otherwise. Proven otherwise for Ethereum is a new high above 1800.89 because wave 4 may not move into wave 1 price territory. The daily chart for Ethereum also shows a strong upward session with push from volume and a strong increase in range, but here's Ethereum's downward movement, lower highs, lower lows, the basic definition of a downward trend. In order for that to be taken out, we need a high above 1875.24, and I would like to see a breach of this channel that contains this downward movement that price is now back within. If a low is in place here for Ethereum, that channel should be breached quite quickly in the next few days. Volume is pushing price higher for Ethereum, but not as strong as the last upward session, so there's a touch of weakness there. That could change. We could see strong upward days. We could see the technical evidence we want to have confidence the low is in place, but we don't have it yet. No new range for on-balance volume to give us a signal for Ethereum. ADX is very extreme for the downward trend. If that low is not in place, then only one final low for Ethereum would be a reasonable expectation given the look of ADX. RSI reached oversold and exhibited single bullish divergence in conjunction with extreme ADX. That does tell us it's possible a low is in place for Ethereum, but I would rather assume the trend remains the same until proven otherwise. Money flow also reached oversold, so it is possible a low could be in place for Ethereum. But we need 1875.24 taken out. Prior to that, higher risk, a breach of this downward sloping channel by a full daily candlestick above and not touching this trend line would add reasonable confidence that a low is in place here, and then a new high above this point would add further confidence. Until then, expect the trend remains the same, downward, until proven otherwise. Next support 1360. XRP is moving up as well today, but not as strongly. Primary 1 and 2 within primary 3, and a leading expanding diagonal for a first wave to be followed by a normally deep second wave correction. Two things for this market, for this wave count: second wave corrections for cryptos are commonly very deep, and a second wave following a first wave leading diagonal is commonly very deep. If it's over back here, it's not very deep. Let's expect a normal depth of 0.8 or 80% to 90%, the depth of minor 1 from 0.40954 to 0.34447. I think 40 cents because there's strong support there. This upward movement is still not even back in the channel for XRP. Series of lower highs, series of lower lows. We need 0.6650 taken out for that trend to be broken to have confidence the low is in place down here. Until that happens, let's expect the trend remains the same until proven otherwise. For XRP, there's very strong resistance at 55 cents so far. That's holding price down today. 0.6650 is the last swing high within the pullback. We need that taken out to have confidence this low is in place. A little bit of a push from volume for XRP, but volume compared to previous downward sessions is very weak. Let's keep an eye on this consolidation for on-balance volume very carefully. A breakout above resistance or below support would give us a signal which may precede the direction for price. ADX is not extreme for XRP. RSI did reach oversold, but there's no bullish divergence. So for this one, a little bit less strength, a little bit more weakness, a little bit of more room for it to move lower. Money flow did reach oversold and did indicate single bullish divergence, so there is a little bit of evidence to tell us the low could be in. So pretty much the same conclusion for all of them. It's possible the lows of 17th of August aren't going to remain intact, but we need to see pivot highs in the last downward pullbacks. We need to see the last pivot highs taken out and the channels breached in order to have confidence that those lows are now intact. There is a little technical evidence to suggest it could be intact, but the technical evidence around lows for cryptocurrencies is not conclusive. You don't see as many things lining up at the lows as you do at the highs. I have a really long video I did for the FX Traders Edge event. Let me know. It's about 45 minutes. If you're interested in that very, very in-depth analysis of cryptocurrency lows and highs using Bitcoin, let me know in comments and I'll post that on the YouTube channel here for your viewing pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support, and I hope everyone has a great day.